Let's talk Tobago, or people, or places, or challenges and achievements, or needs and aspirations. Join us as we continue our journey into the future.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Tobago, the program that keeps you informed about the plans and initiatives of the Tobago House of Assembly and the impact that these have on you. In our stories this week, Chief Secretary of London says he is disappointed that the country is still under a state of emergency. An early Christmas present for residents of Adelphi Estate in Mason Hall as the THA issues them with final leases for land. Tobago could soon be staking its share in the international herbal market as the THA holds talks about a research-based system for Tobago's medicinal plants. And primary and secondary school students across Tobago are exposed to the benefits of recycling as part of an environmental education program. Don't go away. We'll be right back after the break.
Where the hell you come from now?
Water more than flour this morning. Cousin Effie sent and called me.
Mom, she?
Big trouble.
She sick?
She daughter.
Mom, she?
I can't tell you, Joshua. The damn out so big, the whole village gonna know my family private business.
She AIDS now?
It's not AIDS, it's HIV. When you get that already?
And she there with that boy from Lowlands? We're going to Trinidad to live? Well, all them boys in the village know you had the thing. You know, there are some tablets and things now that does make them live long once you take it.
They have to learn to protect themselves.
This thing that they call hormones does make them young people do it. You don't seem to understand when we are talking about hormones, because you never is young.
At the recently held post-executive council media briefing, Chief Secretary of London addressed the issue of the lifting of the curfew by the government. According to Mr. London, this makes no difference to Tobago, since Tobago was never under curfew. He, however, is concerned about the impact that the state of emergency is having on the psyche of the people of the country, and likens it to a state of abuse.
I want to join in expressing my disappointment that the state of emergency remains while the curfew is lifted. In effect, to us in Tobago, it makes absolutely no difference because we did not have a curfew. And I think one of the issues about which I'm very concerned is the impact that this is having on the psyche of us as a people. You know, I looked at the response of people at the lifting of the curfew. And yes, I saw the joy, but I became very concerned, you know, and it made me think of about abuse. And there's a thing about abuse that is extremely challenging and sometimes difficult to comprehend. That if abuse is severe enough, less abuse, in fact, becomes something that you appreciate. And I want to say how very concerned I am that the psyche of us as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago might have been so affected that while our liberties to which we have become accustomed are still being seriously undermined, we are in fact expressing joy that we are less abused today than we were 2 days ago, but we're still being abused.
In its ongoing thrust to protect Tobago's heritage, the Tobago House of Assembly has brought some comfort to the residents of Adelphi Estate in Mason Hall by furnishing them with final leases for land. It was just 1 year ago that leases were given to 20 residents after the Assembly had spent over $13 million to acquire 49 acres at Adelphi. More in this report by Sophie Guillaume.
I want to publicly thank the Assembly and Mr. London and the people who have been working behind the scenes. This, in our Mr. London, as rightfully said, is a birthright to us. And for all who has toiled before and who will be coming after, I really want to say a heartfelt thank you, Mr. London, for giving this and these lands into our hands here in Tobago.
Though only 6 final leases were presented at the time, Chief Secretary Orville London made the assurance to the other residents that the process is ongoing and they can look forward to receiving their leases as long as there are no land disputes.
If there is a dispute, there is nothing that we can do about it until the dispute is resolved one way or the other. But all lands where there is no dispute between people, no dispute about the size of the land and so on and so forth, those are being processed, and you will find us doing these distributions at regular intervals between now and whenever the process is completed.
Senior State Counsel Alvin Pascal informed the residents that the 199-year leases are renewable and now afford them the same opportunities as that of land ownership.
This here is a document, a valuable piece of document in your hand. You are now able to bail your son, daughter, if as the case might be. You are now able to mortgage, as your case might be, and you're now prepared to put your house into a better state of repair.
Reminding the residents that this was their heritage, the Chief Secretary implored that the residents not lose focus and sell the land.
I'm begging you, I'm urging you, pass the word around. We did not invest this so that you all will sell it and in a real sense give up your birthright.
Sophie Guillaume, Department of Information.
With the focus on establishing a research-based system for Tobago's medicinal plants, experts from India met with several THA officials at the Calder Hall Administrative Complex. The discussions centered on setting up a codifying system along with training programs in this area of traditional medicine. Omadara Mills reports.
Secretary of the Department of Ayush in India, Anil Kumar, claimed that the 5,000-year-old Indian medicinal system has been well documented and proven to cure ailments. Mr. Kumar offered his department's services in identifying, codifying and cultivating Tobago's medicinal plants.
We are told that there are a large number of medicinal plants over here in Tobago. We would be very keen to offer assistance in working together with you and seeing how best we can develop your medicinal plants if you so require, or if you require assistance in identifying and codifying them, or if any assistance is required in cultivation techniques, which is the best way to go about it.
Indian High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency Mele Mishra, suggested that training programs can be arranged so that Tobagonians can become experts in documenting the island's healing plants.
If there was some guide from your side to tell us also, maybe by way of presentation, that what are the kind of plants are growing here, that is a very concrete area of our cooperation which could develop with Tobago. As also certain training programs can be organized for people who are interested in India, for persons from Tobago to go.
Chief Secretary Orville London admitted that there was little known about the medical properties of the plants in Tobago, as he accepted the offer to begin collaborative work with the Indian Institute.
I think that this is something, especially in relationship to the plants that we have, about which we know very little in many cases. I think there's an opportunity there for the kind of partnership that will bring benefits to us. One of the things we'll definitely do from our end is to identify an individual, who can relate with your group, and see how we can roll out some of those initiatives about which you spoke.
I am Omadara Mills for the Department of Information.
The secret of a thriving economy lies in people, and according to Dr. Vaness James, that's who Tobago needs to invest in. Stephen Williams has this report.
The latest in a series of lectures hosted by the Tobago House of Assembly in commemoration of its 30th anniversary was hosted by Dr. Vaness James. The topic, the Tobago economy, past, present and future. Dr. James explained to the audience assembled at the DIPU conference room that the key to a thriving economy was to invest in the citizens of the country.
If you want to talk investment programming, after you've done the debate about freedom and democracy, hasten over and start to talk about knowledge and skill. Now, Samotota? Because if you have knowledge growing and skills growing and the capacity to use the knowledge, which is the skills, you're in good shape.
Dr. James went on to outline some of the industries Tobago could utilize to build its economy. These included agriculture, tourism, education, and even oil and gas. In a lecture mixed with some humor, Dr. James concluded with some tips on how to revive the Tobago economy, utilizing a mixture of our local products as well as foreign investments.
If you want to develop Tobago, you must establish a viable commercial sector capable of attracting large masses of buyers to the shops here in Tobago and to visit shops in every village. You have to invest for that. This is Professor B's man. He says some of the investors would be Tobagonians and some not. And it would help if you give incentives to all of them to sell the local things as well as the foreign things.
For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
Trinway celebrates 30 years of existence as they open their first branch in Tobago. Stephen Williams also has this report.
A cocktail reception at Cocoa Reef Hotel marked the 36th anniversary of Trinway and the official launch of the company's first branch in Tobago. In her address, Executive Chairman of the company, Rani Norris, gave a brief history of Trinway since its inception 36 years ago. Charged with the responsibility of officially welcoming Trinway to Tobago, Chief Secretary of London declared the company a truly national entity, concluding with some suggestions for the board of directors.
That organizations like Trinway, you boast about the hundreds of years of experience and expertise that you have residing within your ranks. I want Trinway to see itself as a partner in the development of Tobago. I want Trinway to see itself as an entity that has a responsibility to collaborate with all the other organizations in Tobago to develop the island, to develop its people.
For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
People need to understand their finances so they aren't duped by conmen or even by corporations. This came out of the two-day workshop on consumer protection in the Caribbean held at the Turtle Beach Hotel. Omadara Mills has the details on ways in which consumers can be more responsible about their spending and saving.
Over 20 participants from consumer-based organizations across the Caribbean came together to focus on consumer protection in financial services. According to Professor Michelle Dickerson, financial awareness among consumers is one benefit of the global economic meltdown.
One great thing I think about the financial crisis is it's made everybody decide that you have to pay attention to financial services transactions. Consumers didn't cause the crash. We didn't cause the collapse of the U.S. stock market, of the global exchanges. But consumers have been the ones that have largely been devastated by it.
Professor Dickerson said that factors which contribute to financial illiteracy include lack of mandatory financial education in the school system, lack of parental guidance in proper money management, and the "it would not be me" syndrome. The consensus among the participants was that the most effective solution to consumer protection is financial education for all persons.
You can start financial literacy from the cradle straight to the grave. Doesn't matter. So we support the idea of financial literacy programs at the primary and secondary level.
Parental responsibility in teaching children about sound money management is one way to combat financial illiteracy.
We can't just blame the schools for the fact that so many of our consumers are financially illiterate, because at the end of the day, the role of training children falls on their parents.
Participants suggested that the media have an important role to play in facilitating a financial education program.
The media could be creative in producing programs particularly programs that are geared towards children, stuff that we could start educating them about pitfalls when doing transactions that you should look out for. Maybe even stuff like credit cards, about saving. Little educational, entertaining programs that could reach audiences.
We have to carefully read every piece of financial document before signing. This was the advice given by President of the Caribbean Consumer Council, Dulcie Allen.
They don't sign away because we are desperate or because we don't have the time. When you're doing financial transactions, make the time. Make the time. And if you don't understand them fully, you try to get somebody who knows all the ins and outs of these things and ask questions. And don't let anybody rush you.
Participants shared how information on saving, buying, and banking can benefit consumers.
Finances are scarce resources, especially in our country. And with the season coming up now, when a lot of people are going to spend wildly, we hope that we can use information to assist them to spend wisely.
As a consumer, I can negotiate deals with the financial institution, or I can just walk away from a loan application if it's not in my favor. It's up to me, the consumer.
I am Umadara Mills for the Department of Information.
We pause for a short break, but when we come back, we hear about plans to revitalize the pig industry in Tobago, and the Tobago students taught the importance of recycling.
Who that?
Leslie Kawani.
You and she have something going?
Trying hard, but she hard to get through, but
in my days, boy, I would have stick in she tail until I get what I want.
What damn stupidness you telling the innocent boy this blessed Wednesday, Joshua Walker?
Innocent?
Ma, that is not true.
I hope so, yes, boy. Because with the set of HIV going wrong, you can't afford to be going wrong with no set of girl like some of them want you to do.
But let me tell you, you'll here for a short time, jollificate yourself as long as you can make it.
Jollificate yourself? That is all you could tell the boy? Calvin, let me tell you this. It have people, man and woman. They look strong and nice and healthy. You can't judge people by how they look. The only way you could know if they have something is through a blood test. I just want you to be careful.
I gotta be careful, man.
Pig farmers turn out in their numbers for a meeting with Secretary Gary Melville on the revitalization of the local pig industry. Stephen Williams has the details.
A recent meeting between pig farmers and the Secretary for the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment, Gary Melville at THDI, saw an unusually high turnout of pig farmers. Secretary Gary Melville gave his full commitment to the pig farmers, stating that he would do everything in his power to improve the local industry, from lowering the price of feed to building access roads for pig farmers.
We're going to be fixing a number of the access roads around the island, and we will try especially hard to get those that affect pig farmers and so on up. We have gotten some money from the Executive Council that is coming. There are a number of things on the way, and all I want and I urge is your participation, and I want to partner with the farmers in Tobago for us to try to get this sector somewhere.
Agriculture consultant Rodney Jones explained that in an effort to get the pig industry up on its feet, several new initiatives would have to be launched, with training for farmers as the most important.
A number of farmers have basic training and they know how to manage or mine pig, if you want to put it like that. But we're looking at training where farmers could lift the standard and lift the standard of production to make it more efficient and profitable.
After the presentation by Mr. Jones, the farmers took center stage, voicing their concerns on topics ranging from the price of feed, lack of access roads, lack of breeding stock, and infrastructure, among several other key issues. Secretary for the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment, Gary Melville, promised of more consultations in the near future. For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
The first Tobago cassava shop on its way. This was just one of several new initiatives announced at the Tobago Cassava Products Limited prize-giving ceremony held recently at the Botanical Gardens in Scarborough. Stephen Williams was there and files this report.
Very soon, we are seeking to have an outlet to, and we will call it the cassava shop, of course, to sell cassava products. It would be the products that some of our agro-processors, some of the commodity utilization products that was produced at the fair, now in the process of trying to secure the building and the outlet. And then the next stage is to absorb the produce from our agro-processors and have them sold at the shop.
That was chairman of the Tobago Cassava Products Limited, TCPL, Wendell Berkeley, during the recent prize-giving ceremony for the Cassava Fair held earlier this year. Although describing this year's Cassava Fair as a success, President of the Tobago Agricultural Society, Owen Dillon, expressed his concerns about the speed with which things get done in the agriculture sector.
My concern, though, is that a lot of programs have been spoke about, but I think we are very slow in implementing some of those programs. And I feel we need to have a more interlinkage of the players in the sector to have things going in a meaningful way.
In his address, Secretary for the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment, Gary Melville, outlined the current focus of his division.
My focus is on trying to ensure that in the coming months, that in Tobago, we can have available for our consumption a lot more of the foods that we grow for ourselves. The focus is on trying to improve the level of agricultural production in Tobago so that we can enjoy a greater food security on the island.
After the formalities, it was time for the distribution of prizes. 13 persons walked away with prizes ranging in categories such as Biggest Root and Most Unique Cassava Dish. For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
It was an historical event in the life of former Tourism Secretary Neil Wilson, as the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Institute honored him by naming their Student Activity Center after him. Having recently celebrated his 70th birthday, Mr. Wilson was recognized by the Institute for his contribution in raising the profile of Tobago as a competitive tourism destination. More in this report from Sophie Guillaume.
I'm pleased to be here with you today, and I must tell you that I feel truly honored to have the Student Activity Center carry my name.
Mr. Wilson, who felt honored and humbled for the recognition of his contributions, said the Institute has come a long way since 2002.
Without the hard work of these dedicated people, we never could have reached this far, and today I salute and congratulate them all. I directed that the Tourism Division should desist from conducting its training initiatives since the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute was recognized and accepted as the official tourism training resource on the island.
Meanwhile, THTI CEO Wayne Peer outlined the significance of a student support service in an institution.
Student support systems are by no means new, and like many other institutions, THTI have implemented many of these practices several years ago. As mentioned before, what is significant is the new realization and acceptance that these systems are best practices in the education industry.
Though he will not be physically present at the center, Mr. Wilson said his door is always open.
My house has always been full of people seeking my advice and seeking my assistance in improving their standard of living and getting things done that they feel that they can't get through the conventional channels. And I propose to extend that to anybody in Tobago. It doesn't apply just to this, it applies to anything, whether it's advice on housing, advice on anything, right? I am there to help anybody, to advise and to assist anybody who needs my assistance.
The former Tourism Secretary said that his vision remains the same, to see the Institute become the premier hospitality training institute in the Caribbean.
Mr. Neil Wilson, in his wisdom and in his role as Secretary for Tourism and Transportation at the Tobago House of Assembly, was very passionate and instrumental in the development of the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. And today's ceremony basically is to pay tribute and to express our honor, gratitude, and appreciation to him for the work that he has done at this institution and continue to do.
Sophie Guillaume, Department of Information.
The recycling race is on as the island's 8 secondary schools and 42 primary schools compete for the $10,000 first prize in the Keep a Clean Green School program. Aimed at promoting environmental education throughout schools, the program is the collaborative effort of the Division of Tourism and Transport, Environment Tobago, and BHP Billiton. Sophie Guillaume has more from the launch of the program.
Each of the 50 schools received a fruit tree to plant on the school compound and recycling bins for the collection of plastic bottles.
The bins will be used to collect only plastic bottles. Once filled, the school will contact the division to have the bins emptied and returned. The school that collects the most plastic bottles by virtue of weight will be awarded prizes at the end of the competition.
Environment Tobago's President Patricia Turpin explained the program's goal, which embraces the global greening concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle.
The primary aim of the competition has been to involve students in positive actions to solve existing solid waste generation and disposal problems and change negative environmental practices in their schools and surroundings.
Noting the need for sensitization on the effects of improper waste disposal was Tourism Administrator Ethel Hector Berkeley-Sylvester.
It is imperative that we continue to educate and to inspire the children of today to always think of the impact waste can have on our health and on the health of future generations. It is hoped that these bins will provide an alternative method to plastic disposal. I implore you to think twice before littering our beautiful piece of paradise.
Tourism Secretary Oswald Williams said the program was in keeping with Tobago's mantra of clean, green, safe, and serene, adding that there are many long-term benefits to recycling.
This is more than just now, it's more than just for today. This is about what we are going to bequeath to future generations of Tobagonians, and it is part of our legacy to our country and to the world. Let us therefore do what we can in our corner, and let us do it the best way we can.
The program will require students to identify, design, plan, and implement solid waste reduction and management programs within their school. The competition is expected to end on June 30th, 2012. Sophie Guillaume, Department of Information.
That brings us to the end of another episode of Let's Talk Tobago. On behalf of the Tobago House of Assembly and the Department of Information, thank you for staying with us. I am Avian. See you next time.